At 94, Clint Eastwood has finally revealed a secret he kept hidden for decades. A revelation that has stunned fans and added an unexpected twist to his legendary life story. But what exactly is this long-guarded truth? Join us as we explore the surprising story behind Clint Eastwood's most closely held secret. Early life and humble beginnings. Clint Eastwood was born on May 31, 1930 in San Francisco, California, during the Great Depression. His full name is Clinton Eastwood Jr., and he grew up in a time when many American families were struggling to make ends meet. His father, Clinton Eastwood Sr., worked in various jobs, including as a steelworker and a gas station attendant. His mother, Ruth Eastwood, worked as a factory clerk. Because of the tough economy, the family moved around often, living in different towns across California. As a child, Clint was quiet and independent. He didn't have a strong interest in school, and his grades were average. He attended several different schools due to his family's frequent relocations. Even though he didn't love academics, Clint had a tall and strong presence from a young age. By the time he was a teenager, he was over 6 feet tall. People often noticed him because of his height and calm, serious look. During high school, Clint started to show interest in music and mechanics. He played the piano, something he would continue to do throughout his life. He also enjoyed fixing cars and working with his hands. These interests didn't point directly toward acting, but they showed that Clint liked creative work and was willing to learn new things. After graduating from Oakland Technical High School, Clint worked several small jobs to support himself. He worked as a lifeguard, a paper carrier, a forest firefighter, and even as a golf caddy. These jobs were not glamorous, but they gave him life experience and taught him discipline. He was not aiming to be an actor at the time. Acting wasn't even on his radar. In 1951, Clint was drafted into the U.S. Army during the Korean War. He was stationed at Fort Ord in California. Though he didn't see combat, this time in the military became important in his life. It was at Fort Ord that he met people connected to the film industry. One of them encouraged him to take a screen test in Hollywood after noticing his strong appearance and camera-friendly face. After being discharged from the Army, Clint took the advice seriously and started trying out for roles. His early days in Hollywood were slow and uncertain. He took acting classes and appeared in a few small roles. At first, he was mostly cast because of his looks. He signed a contract with Universal Studios in the mid-1950s, but it didn't lead to instant fame. In fact, some early roles were so minor that his name didn't even appear in the credits. Still, Clint didn't give up. He kept working hard and learning the craft of acting. He spent nearly a decade playing small parts in movies and television shows. He was patient and determined, slowly building up his skills and reputation in the entertainment world. He didn't know it yet, but the big break that would change his life was just around the corner. Next, we'll look at how Clint Eastwood rose from bit parts to become one of the most famous faces in Hollywood. Clint Eastwood's rise in Hollywood. Clint Eastwood's path to fame took time, but everything started to change in the late 1950s. After spending years working in small movie roles, Clint got his first big break with a television series called Rawhide. The show began in 1959 and became a hit with American audiences. Clint played Rowdy Yates, a young cowboy helping to drive cattle across the American West. At first, he wasn't the lead actor, but as the show went on, his role grew larger, and he became one of the main stars. Rawhide ran for 8 seasons and helped Clint become a household name. It gave him steady work and allowed him to improve his acting skills. But while the show made him popular in the U.S., it wasn't until a few years later that he would gain worldwide fame. In the mid-1960s, Clint took a chance on a new kind of film. He traveled to Europe to star in a low-budget Western made by an Italian director named Sergio Leone. The movie was A Fistful of Dollars, and it introduced a new kind of cowboy: quiet, tough, and mysterious. This character would become known as the Man with No Name. The film was different from traditional westerns. It had a unique style, strong music, and more action. A Fistful of Dollars was followed by 2 more films, For a Few Dollars More and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Together, these 3 movies are known as the Dollars Trilogy. They became huge international hits. Clint Eastwood was now a global star. His image as a strong, silent hero was fully formed. These films made him famous not just in the US, but all over the world. By the 1970s, Clint wanted to do more than just act. He wanted to be in control of the kinds of stories he told. In 1971, he directed his first movie, Play Misty for Me. It was a thriller about a radio DJ who becomes the target of a dangerous fan. The film was well received, and it showed that Clint had talent behind the camera, not just in front of it. Over the next few decades, Clint continued acting, but he also focused more on directing. He started making films that were deeper and more personal. In 1992, he directed and starred in Unforgiven, a dark and powerful Western that won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. This was a turning point. It showed that Clint wasn't just a movie star, he was a serious filmmaker. He continued to earn praise with later films like Mystic River, $1 Million Baby, and Gran Torino. $1 Million Baby also won several Oscars, including another Best Director award for Clint. These films dealt with real-life issues and emotional struggles, and they helped build his reputation as one of the best directors in Hollywood. Clint Eastwood went from TV cowboy to one of the most respected figures in film history. Hollywood icon status. Clint didn't just become a successful actor and director, he became a true Hollywood icon. Over the years, he created a unique persona that audiences came to know and admire. On screen, Clint often played tough, quiet characters who didn't say much but got the job done. He became known for his strong, silent style, and that image stuck with him throughout his career. Whether he was a cowboy in the Wild West or a hard-edged cop like Dirty Harry, Clint's characters stood out because of their calm confidence and sense of justice. This rugged and independent personality made Clint different from other actors of his time. He didn't rely on big speeches or emotional scenes. Instead, he used his presence, expressions, and actions to create powerful characters. Fans respected this style and saw him as someone who stood for strength, honor, and determination. Clint's career lasted more than 6 decades, and he received many awards and honors along the way. As a director and actor, he won several Academy Awards, including Best Director and Best Picture for Unforgiven in 1993, and again for $1 Million Baby in 2005. He has also received the Irving G. Thalberg Award, which is given to producers whose work reflects high quality and consistency. In addition to the Oscars, Clint has been honored with Golden Globes, the AFI Life Achievement Award, and even a French Legion of Honor Medal. One reason Clint Eastwood is such an interesting figure is because of the contradictions in his public and personal life. Politically, Clint has described himself as a conservative and libertarian. He has spoken at political events, including the 2012 Republican National Convention. However, many of his films carry messages that are more progressive or open-minded. For example, $1 Million Baby deals with topics like disability and assisted death. Gran Torino focuses on race and cultural change. Letters from Iwo Jima tells a World War II story from the Japanese point of view. These choices show that Clint is not limited by one set of beliefs when it comes to storytelling. Clint Eastwood has become more than just a movie star. He is a symbol of a certain kind of American spirit: quiet, determined, and always pushing forward. Up next, let's take a look at Clint's relationships, his marriages, and the family he built. Some of it in the public eye, and some kept hidden for years. High-profile romances and marriages. Clint Eastwood's personal life has been just as eventful and complex as his career. Over the years, he's been involved in many romantic relationships, some lasting for decades and others more short-lived. Despite having 2 marriages, Clint often avoided settling down in the traditional sense. He preferred to keep his private life out of the spotlight, but over time, many details about his relationships have become public. Clint's first serious and public relationship was with Maggie Johnson. They met in 1953 on a blind date and got married later that same year. At the time, Clint was still a struggling actor, trying to find his place in Hollywood. Maggie was supportive, and the two stayed married for more than 30 years. However, their marriage was far from perfect. During their time together, Clint was involved in several affairs, some of which led to children outside of their marriage. Despite this, Maggie and Clint remained legally married until 1984, although they had been living separately for many years before their divorce was finalized. One of Clint's well-known long-term affairs during his marriage to Maggie was with Roxanne Tunis, a dancer and actress. Their relationship lasted over a decade, and in 1964, they had a daughter named Kimber. At the time, Kimber's existence was not widely known to the public. Clint did not acknowledge her as his child publicly until many years later. After his divorce from Maggie Johnson, Clint had several more serious relationships. One of the most notable was with actress Sandra Locke. They met in the mid-1970s while filming The Outlaw Josie Wales and quickly became a couple. Their relationship lasted around 14 years, and they lived together for most of that time. Though they never married, they were seen as one of Hollywood's most famous pairs. Still, the relationship was full of ups and downs and ended badly, with a legal battle that included lawsuits over property and broken promises of professional opportunities for Locke. In the 1990s, Clint entered into another long-term relationship, this time with actress Frances Fisher. They met while filming Pink Cadillac and later starred together in Unforgiven. In 1993, they had a daughter named Francesca. Like many of Clint's relationships, this one eventually ended, but they remained on good terms as co-parents. Clint's second marriage came in 1996 when he married Dina Ruiz, a television news anchor. They met when Dina interviewed him for a news segment in the early 90s. Their relationship was more public than most of Clint's previous romances. They had a daughter, Morgan, in 1996, the same year they got married. Dina and Clint were often seen together at events and in interviews, and she even starred in a short-lived reality show about the Eastwood family called Mrs. Eastwood and Company. However, by 2013, they had separated, and their divorce was finalized in 2014. Despite these two official marriages and several long-term relationships, Clint has always shown a certain reluctance to fully commit in the traditional sense. Many of his relationships overlapped, and some children were born without the public knowing about them at first. He rarely spoke about his private life in interviews and preferred to keep those details away from the media. Over time, it became clear that Clint valued his independence and personal freedom, even when in committed relationships. Clint's romantic history is long, complicated, and filled with mystery. It paints a picture of a man who was deeply involved with many women but struggled with the idea of settling down completely. And speaking of complicated family stories, let's now explore Clint's children, the 7 known to the world, and how each one has played a role in his fascinating life. Clint's complicated family tree. Clint Eastwood is not only a legendary actor and filmmaker, but also the father of at least 7 children from different relationships throughout his life. For many years, Clint kept details about his family very private, but over time, more information became public. His children have followed different paths, some into the spotlight and others into more private lives. What's clear is that Clint's role as a father is just as layered as the roles he plays on screen. Kimber is Clint Eastwood's oldest known child. She was born in 1964 during his affair with Roxanne Tunis, a dancer and actress Clint met while filming Rawhide. At the time, Clint was still married to his first wife, Maggie Johnson, and Kimber's existence was kept quiet for many years. The public didn't find out about her until the 1980s. Kimber has worked in the entertainment industry, but mostly behind the scenes. She is a makeup artist and producer, and she has also acted in a few small roles. Although her relationship with Clint wasn't widely known when she was growing up, they appear to have a close bond today. Kyle is Clint's second child and his first with Maggie Johnson, Clint's first wife. He was born in 1968 and has built a successful career in music. Kyle is a jazz musician and composer who plays bass and writes music for films. In fact, he has worked on the soundtracks for several of Clint's movies, including Mystic River and Gran Torino. Kyle prefers a quieter public life and has mostly stayed out of Hollywood's spotlight, focusing instead on his music. Clint has shown strong support for Kyle's career, often attending his performances and including him in his film projects. Allison, born in 1972, is Clint and Maggie Johnson's second child. She followed in her father's footsteps and pursued a career in acting and filmmaking. She began acting at a young age and appeared in several of Clint's films, such as Tightrope and Absolute Power. As an adult, Allison has also worked as a director and producer. One of her best-known directing projects is the 2007 drama Rails and Ties. In addition to her work in film, Allison is involved in animal rescue and runs a foundation that helps animals in need. Clint and Allison have a warm and visible relationship, often appearing together at public events and film premieres. Scott Eastwood was born in 1986 to Clint and Jaslyn Reeves, a flight attendant Clint had a relationship with in the 1980s. Scott is probably the most famous of Clint's children today. He looks very much like his father and has pursued a career in acting. He has appeared in movies such as The Longest Ride, Suicide Squad, and Pacific Rim: Uprising. Scott has spoken openly about growing up with Clint as a father, saying that Clint was strict and expected him to work hard. He has also said he had to audition for roles just like anyone else, even in Clint's films. Their relationship seems strong, and Scott often praises his father in interviews. Catherine, born in 1988, is Scott's younger sister. Like her brother, she was born from Clint's relationship with Jaslyn Reeves. Catherine has kept a much lower profile than her brother. She has worked as an actress and writer in a few small films, but is not as active in the public eye. There is less known about her personal life or relationship with Clint, but she has appeared at events with the family, showing that she is connected to them. Francesca was born in 1993 to Clint and actress Frances Fisher. Her parents met while filming Pink Cadillac and also worked together on Unforgiven. Francesca has been active in the entertainment industry, working as an actress, model, and TV personality. She gained attention when she appeared in the reality TV show Mrs. Eastwood and Company, and has acted in several indie films. Francesca is one of Clint's more publicly seen children, often appearing with him at red carpet events. Their bond seems close, and she frequently shares pictures of them together on social media. Morgan is Clint's youngest known child. She was born in 1996 to Clint and Dina Ruiz, who was a news anchor and Clint's second wife. Morgan was part of the family's reality show as a teenager, but has kept a lower profile in recent years. She has expressed interest in acting and directing, but seems to be exploring her path more privately. Clint is said to have a very affectionate relationship with Morgan, and she is often seen supporting him at film events. Clint Eastwood's children are a diverse group, each carving out their own lives, some in the spotlight, others away from it. Despite his private nature, Clint has maintained relationships with his kids, quietly supporting them, and in recent years, becoming more open about his large and unique family. But as surprising as this family story may be, it gets even more interesting because for years, there was one child no one knew about at all. Whispers and rumors. For many years, there were quiet whispers and soft rumors about Clint Eastwood possibly having more children than he had publicly acknowledged. These rumors floated through tabloid stories, fan speculation, and Hollywood gossip circles. People who followed Clint's life closely noticed gaps in the timeline and inconsistencies in stories about his personal life. Some even claimed that there was a mystery child he had never publicly mentioned. These ideas weren't taken very seriously at first. Clint Eastwood had always been known as an extremely private person, especially when it came to his family. He rarely spoke about his personal relationships or children in interviews. Even when some of his known children were born, they were kept out of the public eye for years. So, the idea that there might be another child, one who hadn't been revealed, didn't seem too far-fetched to some fans and journalists. Adding to the mystery was the fact that Hollywood, especially during the mid-20th century, was very skilled at keeping secrets. In that era, studio executives worked hard to protect the public images of their stars. If an actor had a relationship or a child that could hurt their reputation or career, it was often hidden. Stories were covered up, and information was tightly controlled. Clint's career began in the 1950s, when this culture of silence was still strong. It was a time when public figures were expected to appear perfect, and personal details were carefully managed behind the scenes. Because of this, the idea of Clint having a secret daughter didn't seem impossible. It actually fit with the way Hollywood operated at the time. His quiet and reserved nature only fueled the speculation. For decades, no one could say for sure whether the rumors were true, but the possibility lingered. Every time Clint was seen with someone unfamiliar, or every time a new detail about his past came out, people wondered if there was more to the story. Then, eventually, the mystery child stepped out of the shadows and changed the Eastwood family story forever. The discovery of Laurie Murray. For decades, Laurie Murray lived a quiet life, completely unaware that she had any connection to one of the most famous men in Hollywood. Born in the early 1950s and adopted as an infant, Laurie grew up in a loving adoptive family in the Pacific Northwest. She had no idea who her biological parents were. As she got older, though, the desire to understand where she came from began to grow stronger. Like many adopted children, she felt the need to search for her roots. Laurie began a personal journey to uncover her biological background. It wasn't a quick or easy process. It took years of research, digging through adoption records, and eventually using modern tools like DNA testing. She looked into records, contacted agencies, and worked with genealogical services. Her goal was simple: to learn who her real parents were and understand her origins. As DNA testing became more accessible and accurate, Laurie decided to take the step of submitting a DNA sample through a service that helps people connect with relatives. It was a decision that would change her life completely. When the results came back, they revealed something she never expected: a direct match to the Eastwood family. At first, it may have been hard to believe, but as more details lined up, it became clear that the man who had unknowingly fathered her was Clint Eastwood. The news was surprising not only to Laurie, but also to Clint himself. According to reports, Clint had no idea that Laurie had been born. Her biological mother, a woman Clint had dated briefly before his Hollywood fame, had become pregnant in the early 1950s. At the time, she was young and unmarried, and her family reportedly decided that the baby would be put up for adoption without telling Clint. It was a different era, one where decisions like this were often made quietly, without involving the father. Laurie's biological mother, whose name has not been widely shared in public, later went on to have a family of her own. But the story of her child with Clint remained hidden for years, buried in the past. There is no indication that she ever told Clint about the pregnancy. As a result, Clint went through his life completely unaware that he had a daughter out there. When Lori finally learned the truth, she approached the situation with care. She reached out to Clint through the proper channels, and what happened next was unexpected. Instead of turning her away, Clint welcomed her into his life. Sources close to the family have said that he was kind and accepting when he learned about her. There was no public statement from Clint, but people who know him have said that he was happy to have the chance to get to know her. Since the discovery, Lori has joined the larger Eastwood family. She has attended events and even appeared at Clint's movie premieres and family gatherings. She lives a quiet life and has never tried to use her connection to Clint for fame or attention. From all accounts, she has handled the discovery of her famous father with grace and privacy. The story of Lori Murray is remarkable not just because of who her father turned out to be, but because of the way it unfolded. It shows how deeply family secrets can be buried and how modern tools like DNA testing can bring the truth to light, even decades later. Fitting in with the Eastwood family. When the world learned that Clint Eastwood had a secret daughter, it made headlines, but what followed was just as surprising as the discovery itself. Instead of denying it or keeping it quiet, Clint chose to embrace Lori Murray, the daughter he never knew he had. This decision not only affected his personal life, but it also changed how the public viewed him. It added a new chapter to the Eastwood family story and gave people a deeper, more human view of the Hollywood legend. After the DNA results confirmed that Clint was her biological father, Lori slowly became part of the Eastwood family circle. She wasn't rushed into the spotlight, and there was no dramatic public statement. Instead, it seems things happened naturally. Clint introduced Lori to the rest of the family, and she was welcomed without conflict. Several reports and family sources said that Clint's other children were accepting of her, and there were no major problems or backlash within the family. That alone says a lot, considering how complicated family dynamics can be. Over time, Lori started to appear more publicly with the family. One of the most talked about moments came in 2018, when she attended the premiere of The Mule, a film Clint starred in and directed. She walked the red carpet alongside Clint and his other children, clearly recognized as part of the family. For many fans and media outlets, this was confirmation that Lori had truly been accepted, and that Clint was comfortable having her by his side in front of the cameras. Public reaction to the news was largely positive. People admired how Clint handled the situation. There was no attempt to avoid responsibility or hide the truth. Many praised him for opening his heart and treating Lori with kindness. At the same time, the story also brought renewed attention to Clint's complicated past, his many relationships, his previously unacknowledged children, and the private nature of his personal life. While some critics questioned how such a thing could stay secret for so long, most people focused on how Clint responded in the present. The discovery of Lori Murray didn't harm Clint Eastwood's reputation. In many ways, it added depth to it. People saw a different side of him, one that wasn't just about tough guy roles or award-winning films. They saw a father learning something unexpected late in life and making room for that truth. It reminded people that even famous figures have personal challenges, and that how they respond to those challenges says a lot about their character. For Clint, now in his 90s, this chapter of his life brought a surprising but meaningful connection. And for Lori, it brought answers she had spent years looking for, along with a sense of belonging she may have never expected. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more surprising Hollywood histories, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next.